JC, we've known each other for a very long time. We're just going to jump right in here. And my earliest memories of our friendship takes me to this first song, an artist I believe hasn't yet been featured on Insurance at 78 RPMs.
Easy to dance to?
Yeah, well, you don't want to see that, Connie. Yeah, that's not good. I really think the interesting part is, you often look at an E&S risk and you say, could this possibly be any worse? There's no more paper. And by the way, yeah, I've got a landline here that's got dust on it. So maybe those weren't the two best analogies. Maybe I lost half the audience already. I don't know.
No.
Maybe I should talk about the telex and the fax machine.
Oh, please don't.
Oh boy. We can't go back that far.
You can talk about it. We might edit it out.
So I literally grew up in the back seat learning the words to doo-wop songs, and I thought those were real words. It wasn't until I was much later till I was like, wait a minute, shooby-dooby-doo, bop-bop isn't a real word. That's just people making stuff up for the sake of selling records. I didn't know.
Welcome, JC. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me. Hello, Connie.
Hey, good to see you.
JC, we've known each other for a very long time. We're just going to jump right in here. And my earliest memories of our friendship takes me to this first song, an artist I believe hasn't yet been featured on Insurance at 78 RPMs. Mariah, can you play a bit of the tune for our audience?
The summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me all summer long.
All right. Well, of course, that's Summer Wind by Frank Sinatra. JC, before I talk a little bit about the tune, tell me why you chose that one in your top 10.
Well, as other insurance geeks might notice, I picked property insurance perils as my sub theme of songs that I like or have some sort of connection to. So I don't really think Summer Wind could cause a lot of damage property wise, but maybe, who knows? There may have been a claim at some point. But Frank Sinatra and I both hail from New Jersey. We both lived in Hoboken. And always liked the song. That was originally a song written in German that Johnny Mercer, the famous lyricist, reworked. And then, interestingly enough, Wayne Newton and Bobby Vinton and Perry Como sang it, and it didn't go anywhere. And then Sinatra had a huge hit with it in '66. It was off the Strangers in the Night album, which was also a giant hit. And at some point when anybody has time, if you want to learn some new expletives, Frank Sinatra was famous for his expletives. He hated that song, Strangers in the Night. And if you see any interview with him, you will see some really colorful language around that song.
Do you know why he didn't like that tune?
I don't know. I've read several articles about it, John. It's kind of interesting. I think it's a great song. He absolutely hated it, and he didn't want to sing it in concert. Also, interestingly, the B-side of Summer Wind was "You Make Me Feel So Young," which almost nothing makes me feel young these days. But that was a huge hit on its own. Not normally, a lot of B-sides go that big.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely true. So, of course, you read directly from my notes, apparently, because Summer Wind is a 1965 song, originally released in Germany as Der Summer Wind. And you're right about Johnny Mercer, and you're right about Wayne and Bobby and Perry, etc. So let's just get right to the question. There have been a lot of summer winds gone by since you first got into the business, JC. Let's tell our audience how that came to be.
Yeah, you and I met back in the 1900s.
We sure did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I grew up in the New York metropolitan area in near the Jersey Shore, and started on the retail side in property in New York, and I just had a great experience. Learned from a lot of great people, and
How did you even come to Marsh? I think that's where you started, right, Marsh? Was that just an interview on campus at Cornell, or was it you knew somebody, or how'd that come to pass?
that was a family friend uh, who got me an interview, and it just happened really interestingly. So a lot of nepotism in this business. I think I'm talking to a man whose family's in the business, and a woman whose family's in the business right now on this show. So yeah, it's real, and it's fantastic. It keeps the industry going, and it's just great to see the names of sons and daughters and nephews and nieces and uh, other family members on these emails these days as they come and go by.
You look at these emails sometimes and you go, "Oh, Sparling, that must be somebody's kid, right? That I know." It's everywhere. Go ahead, John.
Oh, was there something that is it something you were interested in from the jump, or was it just sort of a hey, kind of a fall into it like many of us do? This was a job interview and it worked out, and then that was that.
Yeah, I was more of a faller inner. I wanted to put on a suit and go to work. I didn't necessarily want to, do something specific in the business world. I, had a business degree, and I had taken one insurance course in college. There was only one insurance course to take, and my last semester, my senior year, I took an insurance course. Far from these people who major now in insurance, but I had very little background, very little experience in it, and it worked out. And then I was transferred to Chicago, and then you and I had some hijinks there for about 5 years, and then transferred to Atlanta, and then got into the wholesale side about 20 years ago, and it's been great. It's been really, really great. So now 30 something years in the business. I don't think I want to add it up, but it's been a great run. It really has.
Great.
That is good. Well, you've moved around a bit. Sometimes you think that that's what's needed to get a full view of the insurance business.
I think I think it's almost part of a bygone era. I don't think companies move people around as much as they used to. Uh, they didn't think twice about moving me, and that was fine. I didn't have a lot of ties, and I was happy to go. And I was delighted to experience Chicago and then Atlanta after spending some time in New York. I'm glad I did it in that order: New York, Chicago, Atlanta. But uh, it doesn't seem like it happens as much anymore. Uh, but we'll see. Except what happened in COVID was a very interesting thing for our industry and all of business. We saw a lot of people just say, "I don't need to be where I am. I'll try somewhere else." So I think that continues to evolve.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So it's the time for the second song. We're going to speed it up a little bit. After playing this song, we may already know the answer to a question we're going to ask you later. Mariah, would you mind playing a bit of the next song? Nice one. Nice one. So clearly that's Hang Fire by the Rolling Stones off their 1981 album Tattoo You, which reached as high as number 20 on the Billboard Hot 100. And I think I've seen these guys twice in their 70s. I can't even believe that. So why this song?
The Stones to me are defying gravity like gravity has never been defied before. It's just unbelievable. I just don't understand how they're doing it. And like you, Connie, I've seen them a couple times. Not recently. I would like to see them recently to see, if there are walkers or wheelchairs or things like that involved, oxygen perhaps. But they're so talented. They're so great. They love each other. That song I like because it's kind of retro. It's kind of doo-woppy almost, and it's really fast, and it's got a great beat. Um, I
Easy to
love
dance to.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to see that, Connie. Yeah, that's not good. But I love the first line in the sweet old country where I come from. Nobody ever works. Nothing ever gets done. We hang fire. And it it sounds like a happy, peppy song, but it's not. It's really a commentary on the British economy pre Margaret Thatcher, when things were bad and unemployment was rough and things weren't going well in the UK. So it's a little bit of a dichotomy there, but it's a great song. It gets going really fast and it's short and boom, it's over.
Well, the title expression, which I did not know until I started reading about the song, means the hang fire actually means to do nothing or hold back or
Yep.
hesitate.
Yeah,
Um,
the action on a gun, the time in between the trigger and the fire or
oh,
no
really?
fire. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
look at
You're
you.
right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right.
Well,
But it's a funny line. It's just a great song.
well, that wasn't you when you switched from retail broking to wholesale broking. So let's move to that portion of your career. What prompted that change?
Uh, that was it coincided almost exactly with the whole Spitzer investigation, and retailers were selling off their wholesalers, and I had done some internal wholesaling on the retail side. I had some relationships on the wholesale side. I was really interested in going further into that and less into real retail nuts and bolts client work. I just gravitated toward, more transactions per month. That's what I wanted to. If I could have, I would handle 100 accounts a month instead of rolling over five, every month. So it was great timing for me. It it was uh, it was a move that I had been thinking about for quite a while, and it's been a great 20-year run. I have met some wonderful people, including people on this call.
Well, what do you think the biggest differences are between the two? Clearly, the number of transactions, but what else do you find that's so different between them?
I really think the interesting part is, you often look at an E&S risk and you say, could this possibly be any worse? It's just fantastic. You look at some of this business and you think, I could be on candid camera here. Did somebody really hand me this risk? And then, a couple of seconds later, you're like, wow, I get to place this. I'm the one who actually gets to find somebody who wants to write this. And there's, as my grandmother used to say, there's a lid for every pot. And clearly that's what wholesale is about. You find the lid for every pot. And some of these pots are really, really challenging. Very good people with very good businesses. They're just tough to place in the insurance world.
And what would you say if you if you think about the excuse me, the dynamic between wholesale and retail these days? How would you characterize it? I mean, how would you see what's going on the retail side versus the wholesale side today? What's that partnership look like, and has it changed over the time you've been doing it? Because you've been on both sides for a long time.
I think it has changed a lot. Certainly, when I started on the retail side, there was a smaller portion of the market, much smaller proportion of the market was in the E&S market. The overall premiums placed were in the E&S market. And at the time, the big retailers had captive wholesalers or at least owned a wholesaler that did captive and third party business.
Yeah, I mean, just for the audience sake, for when you were at Marsh, it was Harvey Bowring, North America, right? I don't think there's a lot of younger folks that even know what that is anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Johnson and Higgins had Henry Ward Johnson, and Aon had Sweat and Crawford, and Stuart Smith was owned by Willis. You know, we could keep going with the defunct wholesaler names, but all of those got sold off, and then there was much more reliance on third party wholesalers, and then you had Amwins come onto the scene and make a huge statement, and RT came onto the scene and make a big statement. One of the things we always talk about is the list of wholesalers who were the biggest, 20 years ago or 25 years ago, and that list is, effectively useless right now. If you looked at it, most people would say, as you just said, John, a lot of people, with 5 or 10 years in the business would say, "Who I've never heard of any of these companies."
Right.
So the service we provide is changing. The relationship is changing. A lot of it now is changing due to the situation in the market. It's always a little bit fluid in that regard, but I remain really positive on what we and our competitors are doing out there for retailers and for clients.
And what would you say are the top 1 or 2 things retailers are looking for when they need your help, or when they want, that relationship to go well?
In many cases, it's expertise. A lot of times people just haven't seen, what they've won on a BOR, what's flopped in the boat. Many times it's leverage in the marketplace. Many times it's a specific relationship with a specific underwriter. There are a whole bunch of reasons they come to us, just besides market access or a need to get to a one specific E&S market, and that's evolving as well. We're constantly providing more solutions, and we're constantly thinking about things that retailers and clients are going to need in the future.
Yeah. It's to your point, I think you're right. It has evolved, and it seems to have gone well beyond just simply placing a risk for someone, right? Because they either don't have the bandwidth or the expertise. It's a much more of a relationship that sort of even is more like accountant or lawyer, right? You don't really replace those folks. They're just part of your group, for the things that you're trying to do from a business perspective, right? I wish that was the same for insurance agents, but it doesn't seem to be that way. We don't seem to be able to figure out how to get in there with the lawyer and the accountant and just be part of the team no matter what, right? We can constantly be replaced. I don't know if that's just because of what the business is, or it seems to be much more of a commodity than your lawyer. Lawyering isn't a commodity. I don't think being an accountant is a commodity per se, but unfortunately, it just seems like you struggle from 1 week to the next when agents get replaced at every turn. I mean, are you still seeing that? I mean, you deal with retail agents all day long, more than we do, because we're wholesale, focused. Do you see that still a lot going on? A lot of BORs flying between agents, or do you think that's calmed down over time?
I think it's a necessary evil in our business, and I think it's very cyclical. I think we'll always see it. I don't think anybody likes to see it, except the man or the woman who gets the BOR. Everyone else hates it.
Right.
A lot of E&S markets don't take midterm BORs. A lot of billing problems are created by these BORs. Everybody has different BOR procedures. We deal with 100 markets, make it up. We do business probably most of our business with 20 or 25 of those markets. I would say, 25 of them have different BOR acceptance procedures. So we get it in and we're like, yay, we won it. And we're like, okay, we have to make 25 separate calls and see who's going to accept it and who's going to wait until the 90 days out or 60 days out, or do they want it on the insurer's letterhead? Do they want it on the retailer's letterhead? How do they want it? It's always a blessing and a curse when a BOR comes in the door.
Yeah, it's insurance is known for our paperwork. We're pretty good at it. All right, let's step to the next song. I want to keep with this wholesale broker theme for a minute, but before my question, I think this song sort of ties into it. Mariah?
Don't know why there's no sun up in the sky, stormy weather, since my man and I ain't together. Keeps raining all the time. Life is bad.
Brother, you definitely have the widest range of tunes of any of our guests so far. And of course, that song, for those that may not have been born in the 1900s, is Stormy Weather by the extremely talented singer and actress Lena Horne. We're going to go old school here. That was released by RCA Victor in 1957, and it was part of a larger studio album of the same name. So why this song?
There's a whole bunch of reasons why I picked this song, besides the fact that stormy weather could cause a property loss on get some PD going. You just said, the sheer age of this song, it's almost 100 years old. And it's remarkable how well it has stood up. It's just a very elegant song, and a song that has stood the test of time. We can all sing along with it, but not the way we sing along with American Pie by Don McLean, not that kind of sing along. It's a kind that, maybe you whistle or you kind of hum, or you get the tune in your head. It's just one of those American classics. It's timeless. I loved Lena Horne. I thought she had a great voice. She was just a wonderful entertainer, and that was easily in my top 10. That wasn't one of the ones that I struggled to get the 90 songs or 100 songs down to 10. It's a longtime favorite of mine.
So this one came up first ish.
Yeah, probably, Connie. That's hard to say. I had a tough time getting to 10. Let's just say that. I'm sure all your guests did.
Yes.
But that was the hardest part of this homework assignment. Thank you both for that.
Thank you for doing it.
Well, so to my question, whenever people take risks, there's bound to be some stormy weather. And I've always admired you personally for taking the chance on building your own brokerage, Mercator. Would like to just dive into that for a minute, how that came to be, tell the audience. I'd like to talk a little bit about what you learned by doing that. I know you've learned a million lessons from it, and I think it would be good for, some of the younger folks just to see what it means to be entrepreneurial in this business. But curious as to how that got started and, how you look at it now. Now, it's been a long time since that happened.
Yeah, that was 05-ish. So I've got 20 years of hindsight. To answer your question, that came about when it was time for me to move on from retail, and I decided that wholesale was the place I wanted to be. I was approached by a couple of friends who had already been working on a business plan for a private equity firm. And they came to me and said, we'd like you to run the property and casualty operations. And I had no experience in casualty, but I had about 20 bosses in retail who were in casualty. And I figured, well, they didn't know anything about property. It doesn't matter if I don't know anything about casualty. I can be their boss. It'll be fine. What could go wrong? So by the time I got involved, we were kind of halfway into a business plan, and we wrote the business plan. I got a lot of experience with private equity comings and goings, and the process involved in writing the business plan and getting the money. The painful part is the launch. That was the part that I probably wasn't that well prepared for. That was tough. Those were skills that I needed to literally invent or pull out of my pocket really quickly. A lot of people who asked me, what's the toughest part? I said, well, I worked for a big company for several years. And, every time you hit the stapler, a staple comes out. And every time you pick up the phone, there's a dial tone. When you're in a startup, there might not be a dial tone or no staples come out. And, you know who the only person is who's going to get the staples in the stapler and get the phone plugged in? That's you. You're that person. You don't pick up the phone and call the office manager, or you call somebody to complain, or you don't call the private equity people. They don't care. They want the plane to take off as fast as possible. They don't care if your seatbelt's on. So, full steam ahead, damn the torpedoes, insert cliche here. You just have to get going. And you can't whine and you can't complain and you can't make excuses. You just have to hit the gas. And it was very interesting. We learned a lot of lessons, hired a lot of people. And I think I did that for 6 or 7 years, and we sold the business, and I moved on a couple of times since then. We were bought by CRC, and then I left CRC and came to RT. It's my 10th anniversary.
This year's 10 years.
This year.
10 years. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Was there anything in your early career that you thought someday you might build your own business?
Honestly, Connie, I have to say no. I really do. I really wanted to work for a big. I wanted to put on a blue suit and a white shirt and a red tie and go work for a big company. It doesn't sound very exciting, but that's what I really wanted to do. I didn't really think I was going to be inventing the light bulb or anything like Thomas Alva Edison did. It wasn't anything like that. I was very concerned about getting in the door and meeting good people who could teach me the business more than I was, kind of trying to form my own business and be the boss. And like I said before, I really met some wonderful people who had a lot of years in the business who took me under their wing. And I was just absorbing as much information and as much of the business as I could as quickly as I could. So a startup, even after 15 years in retail, a startup was still a little bit scary for me. And I wasn't really convinced that was what I wanted to do. But after a lot of thought, that's where I landed, and that was the right thing to do. I'm glad I did it. But remarkably, I'm back at a big company. So, you can connect the dots on that one, Connie.
Water finds its lowest point, JC?
And the staples come out of the stapler if you're using those things, which you might be.
Well, there's no more paper. And by the way, I've got a landline here that's got dust on it. So maybe those weren't the two best analogies. Maybe I lost half the audience already. I don't know. No. Maybe I should talk about the telex and the fax machine.
Oh, please don't.
Oh boy. We can't go back that far.
You can talk about it. We might edit it out.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I'm guessing because I'm the guest, there's going to be a lot of editing anyway. So yeah.
Oh,
not true.
We've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Should we move on, John?
Sure.
So we've already commented on the song list. This was a pretty exciting list to get. I'm sorry it was so difficult.
Oh, by the way, I just want to jump in real quick. One song we didn't get to hear, which I absolutely love, was on your list, is Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I just wanted you to know I didn't link Mercator to that. I thought I thought Stormy Weather would be better. So that's because I love you, buddy. All right, just so you know. Anyway, let's continue. Sorry.
Well, we'll just go right into this. Is a very recognizable chorus. And Mariah, can you play the snippet we have for it? So that, of course, was Rock You Like a Hurricane by the German rock band Scorpions. And I have to say, I don't think we've had a podcast where Germany has figured into 2 songs, let alone 1.
Right.
So why that song?
But please, Bernie, some sisters say, "Hey, Ryan, rock you like a hurricane." Hey, Ryan, rock you like a hurricane. Hey, Ryan, rock you like a hurricane. But please, Bernie, some sisters say, "Hey, Ryan, rock you like a hurricane."
So why that song?
Well, I guess I could have thrown Dankeschön in here by Wayne Newton. That would have
You could have
that would
tried.
have that would have really put the Germans over the edge. You know what, Connie? My speed dial buttons, my memory buttons in my car. Hair Nation's one of them on Sirius, and
I love that station.
that's one of the ones I go by every time I'm in the car. And I wasn't into that kind of music as much. That was 84, I believe. So I was a junior in high school. At that time, I was into a little different music, some alternative and a little more poppy stuff. I could say, but I did appreciate that music at the time, but I appreciate it much more now. I just think it's really interesting and different and edgy and a little bit angry. And it's just that's a great song. And by the way, it's the only song that I know of that I could find that actually had the word hurricane in the title. I found some with hurricane in the lyrics, but not hurricane in the title. And I thought we had to have a hurricane song.
Ah, well, thank you. As I said, it's very recognizable. It's one of my favorites, and the band is one of my favorites. And the lead single off of the Scorpions' ninth album, Love at First Sting, released in 1984.
Yeah.
It reached number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100. And in 2002, the Carolina Hurricanes hockey team used the song alongside their mascot, Stormy, as a team intro. In 2009, yeah. Did you have something to say there? You want to add?
No, I didn't know that. That's a great stat.
Oh, thank goodness. You didn't have the research that we did.
I don't have that crack squad of people that you've got on this team. I mean, this show, you've got millions of viewers now, so you can have a huge staff.
Exactly.
I just
not quite.
I got a George Costanza bobblehead here. That's all I got.
I don't think John and I have enough relatives to cover the listenership for this.
Yeah.
In 2009, it was named the 18th greatest hard rock song of all time on VH1. You probably remember that. In 2010, it was named the fourth, if I could speak, best riff of the 1980s.
Yeah.
When I hear the song, which is loud and rocking, I think about the title. It's easy to transition to property exposures, and even more broad, not for a casualty person, but even more broadly into all exposure, including casualty. How do you see a firm like yours, RT Specialty, helping agents and clients manage exposures, which over our careers have only seemed to increase?
That is the talk of the town right now. How do we do that? And hurricane is one of the things that we do best. And thankfully, there are lots of companies right now that want to take on that exposure. I remember a long time ago reading an article that Warren Buffett was quoted in, and he said, lots of people bet on cards or dice or baseball. I like to bet on the weather. And we often talk about our business as being legalized gambling to a certain extent. And we do bet on hurricane, and it does seem like there are more hurricanes, and it seems like the severity is higher, and it does seem like floods are more frequent, and wildfire and severe convective storm are all over the news now, when those things weren't really hot topics 10 years ago. We talked about we just talked about hurricanes for a long time, or fires or things like that, but we're seeing definite shifts in frequency and severity, and clients are well aware of it. And we're just lucky that there are lots and lots of options, whether it's through alternate risk transfer, whether it's traditional risk transfer, whether it's parametrics, or other types of products that are still evolving right now. I think every day there's some new twist on what we're doing, which is great. But our business is to cover hurricanes, and I think we do a really good job at it. We'll always do a good job at it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we've said it before in previous podcasts, and I think generally without us, the world doesn't get done, right? I mean, you can see that right now in the Strait of Hormuz, right? All the ships doing nothing because they don't have any insurance to protect their exposures, right, as they move through there.
Yeah.
And I think it's it's a real testament to our industry that we're able to, we are the oil of the economic engine of the world, right? And it's an important part of it. And so I think it's interesting to your point about exposures increasing and all of that, which is true. It's crazy how bad things happen where people want to live too, right? I mean, the coasts and California for earthquake and et cetera. And those values are not getting smaller. There's only more people seem to be moving there. It was just in South Carolina. I cannot believe the traffic around Savannah now. I mean, there's just so many people moving there. And they have exposures too. Maybe not quite like Florida, but they certainly do.
Yeah, you look at those maps from the 50s where the population concentrations were, and then you look at them today, it's exactly as you said. People have just moved to where the hurricanes blow or the earth shakes or the floods happen. I have a place in Florida myself. My job is to insure against hurricane, flood, and earthquake, and I got a place at the beach. Gee, what could go wrong?
Well, exactly. I mean, but that's the point, right? I mean, that's what insurance is for, is to help protect those exposures. As long as we can manage those properly, even on the casualty side. I mean, we talk a lot about social inflation, all the things that Connie faces on her side of the business as well. I mean, it's just the world's just getting more and more complex, it seems. We just need more and more expertise to be able to solve those issues.
Right. And I think, JC, you said it, right? Our job is to find a way to cover these in some way, shape, or form. It's an obligation, and frankly, it's one that I enjoy looking to solve. How can I find coverage for someone? And it sounds like you feel the same way, given your, oh my goodness, look at this risk. It has everything possible to going wrong with it. How can I get it placed? Because they need the coverage.
Yeah. And I think we feel like we have a real responsibility to help the people who own these risks. And it makes our job exciting that we're helping people and we're solving a problem. We're not always doing it the same way. We're always trying to find a new way to do it, or maybe the old way is the best way. But we do find the best way, and our clients reward us for that, I think.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We have one more song. Connie's going to go over with you, and we have a couple other questions. Before we do that, we are going to get into I know you love game shows, so we're going to get in the lightning round here, JC. Okay, so I don't want you to think. I'm going to ask you 8 questions, this or that. I want you to either say this one or that one, all right? So I know you can do it. Just think.
I was told there'd be no math on this show. Is that true or no? I mean, you get that Larry King microphone, and now you have this complex. You can do whatever you want. You can ask questions. This wasn't in my contract.
Well, you can take it off my lawyer. I'll be all this to my lawyer. All right, you ready? All right, 8 questions. All right, here we go. Rolling Stones or Beatles?
Rolling Stones.
Elton John or Billy Joel?
Billy Joel by a whisker.
Chicago or Atlanta?
The city or the band?
City.
I got to go with Atlanta.
Ford or Chevy?
Chevy.
Elvis or Tom Jones?
Oof. I can't diss the king. I can't. I love Tom Jones, but I can't diss the king.
Wrigley Field or Seabright Beach Club?
The rum south sides at Seabright Beach are just slightly better than the old styles at Wrigley, so I got to go with Seabright Beach Club. Sorry. Ferris
Bueller or Jake Ryan?
Ferris Bueller.
Old Style or Pabst Blue Ribbon?
Love the old style, love the Wrigley Field, but my grandfather was a PBR guy, and I got to pay homage to him on this show.
All right, well done. I knew you were. I didn't realize Elvis or Tom Jones was going to be that quite the decision. You picked an Elvis song, which we're unfortunately not going to get to, and I know you love the King, but Appreciate on the insight on all those questions.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised that it took you a little bit on Elvis, but that's all right.
Yeah, I did pick an Elvis song. I obviously wasn't old enough to see him in concert, but I did see Tom Jones in concert several times, and he was just great. He's fantastic in concert.
All right. Well, I've seen Elvis twice. I lived in Nevada, and so I saw him the first time when I was 6 years old, and I remember it vividly.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's kind of family I have.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We were talking about Hair Nation. Some of my other buttons on the radio are the Sinatra channel and the Elvis channel. The Billy Joel channel comes and goes. That's a temporary channel. I'm still waiting for the All Kaja Gugu channel. That's not really coming soon, is it?
No,
It's too shy. It won't show up. It's too shy.
No, too shy.
Yeah,
that's right.
Keep waiting. All right. Thank you for the lightning round. Those are good questions, John. Thanks. All right, Mariah, can you play the last clip?
Such a good tune.
Well, certainly a yacht rock staple. That must be one of your channels as well.
It is. You put on your Karnak hat for that one, yeah.
It's a song by American musician Jay Ferguson. Title track and lead single from the 1977 album of the same name. The song peaked at number 9. It features Joe Walsh on guitar, which gives it a lot of credibility in my book. But it peaked at number 9 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 the week of April 1st, 1978, my mother's birthday. And in Canada, it reached to number 8. As Thunder Island was Ferguson's highest ranking song on the charts, he's sometimes tagged as a one-hit wonder, which would be a great podcast theme. However, he reached an additional hit with the song Shakedown Cruise, which I probably know as well, which reached number 31 on the Hot 100. So tell us, why this song?
Well, thunder isn't really a peril, but lightning follows thunder, and that's a peril, I think. Storms often involve thunder. As far as I know, there is no Thunder Island, and the lyrics are a bit strange. There's no real plot to the song. It just sort of goes along, and they're doing something on Thunder Island. But you can't get that do thing out of your head once it gets stuck in there. And then also the beginning where Joe Walsh, thank you, Connie, for pointing that out. Oh, it's a great stat. That beginning where Joe Walsh plays that opening, I don't know anything about music. Is it a riff? Is it a chord? Is it a something?
Lick.
Thank you. Lick. Where Joe Walsh plays that, it's immediately identifiable. I love the songs like Smoke on the Water, where the first 3 seconds you know what the song is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those songs. I mean, this is a good hunk of 70s Velveeta, but it's a good song that sticks with you, and it's catchy, and the intro's good, and the do thing. I don't know. It probably didn't get a Grammy for the lyrics, I would guess. I don't know how the Canadians thought it was a number 8 song. It's clearly a number 9 song. Everything's wrong. Must be the metric system or the conversion from the Canadian dollar to the US dollar, but we'll leave that alone for another show.
All right. Do you play this frequently when you're on your yacht?
I do not have a yacht, but the 70s channel is one of my channels, because I was coming of age in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of that AM 70s junk was in my head, riding around in the back seat of your parents' car on the vinyl seats, no child seat. You
No
could have flown
seatbelt.
through the winds, no seatbelt. They were probably smoking at the time. Uh, who knows? But that's the stuff that you heard on the radio, and those are some of the songs that are the lyrics are the most burned in my brain.
Your parents were way cooler than mine were. We listened to a lot of country music. Not that that wasn't cool, but I like yours sounds much more interesting.
My parents were, like I said, we grew up in New Jersey. We got New York radio stations. My parents liked the 50s doo-wop stuff. And the oldies station in New York, WCBS FM 101.1, was the station we typically listened to. So I literally grew up in the back seat learning the words to doo-wop songs. And I thought those were real words. It wasn't until I was much later, till I was like, wait a minute, shooby dooby doo, bop bop isn't a real word. That's just people making stuff up for the sake of selling records. I didn't know. But I still listen to the 50s station on Sirius, the 60s station, the 70s stations where I hear. I love it that the 70s station plays Thunder Island a good bit. I hear it a lot. I always turn it up and I sing along.
Good for you. All right. So we've talked a little bit about maybe your number of years exceeding, starting with a 3. I'll say it that way.
It's got a 3 handle, but it's soon headed for a 4 handle, Connie.
Okay. So given that you're no longer new to the business, what advice would you give to, say, a son or daughter of a podcast host as they were beginning their insurance career?
I would go back to a point that you asked before about moving. I don't think anybody should be afraid to move. I know lots of people who had much more success in their career because they moved. Not everybody, but some people just didn't want to move, and some people can. I understand that, but uh, I really got a different take on insurance from being in 3 very different cities. The vibe in New York, the vibe in Chicago, the vibe in Atlanta, very, very different. The people that I met there, when I got to Atlanta, I was still calling on relationships that I made in New York and New York and Chicago. I use those relationships to this day. I use underwriters all around the country. And I had regional jobs mostly. I didn't have local jobs. So I was in and out of some smaller cities around the New York metro area, around the Chicago metro area, and around the Atlanta metro area. So I think it gives you a little bit broader perspective that probably will come in handy. The other thing I would say, and I learned this out of necessity because when I started in New York, I had no money like everybody else. We were all living in shoe boxes and
with 4 roommates.
Yeah. And by the way, where I met your effervescent husband during my, I don't know why he's not on this show. Why isn't he on the show?
Because he, family and all that.
Okay. Well, anyway, back when I met Todd in New York, any underwriter who asked me out for lunch or breakfast or dinner or bowling or anything, I just went. And I find a lot of times now there are less of those social events. People, want to go home. They want to keep to themselves. But I learned a ton from any time an underwriter or another broker was in from out of town. I was always there +1 to any lunch, any dinner, any event, mostly out of economic necessity. I didn't have enough money to buy my own dinner, so I was going with them. And by the way, they were buying much better wine than I was at the time. So I would say yes, but the aggregate of all those experiences and all of those people that I met is just unbelievable. I don't even try to sit down and go through this stuff. Sometimes I'm on LinkedIn and I look at the people that I know, and a lot of it is just because I said yes. And that's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody has the patience or the time or the ability to do that. or needs to financially. But it worked out very well for me. That would be the other piece of advice I would say. Just meet as many people as you can. Even if you just shake hands and introduce yourself, you probably will bump into them down the road, and
Mhm.
you might likely, you know, engage in something that's important and say, hey, remember that time I met you 20 years ago? Yes, I do. That helps in this business. It really does.
So move around and make connections. I agree with that, having done that in my career too. What do you think about that, John?
I totally agree. I can agree more. The idea of just to say yes. I have a friend who his motto is say yes and figure it out later. Right. I mean, it's only one lap around the track. And to your point, the amount of relationships we formed when we were younger have carried us and sustained our careers is it's just off the charts. So one thing I would ask you though, JC, finally is you mentioned earlier how you learned from some great people. What and mentors perhaps? What was it about them that made them great? What was it about what they did or said to you or the way they treated you that made you remember them so fondly?
I gravitated toward the older people in the organizations that I was in. I just, and it's not just insurance. I grew up in a family where, my great grandparents were alive when I was born, and great this and great that. I always wanted to hear the stories, and I always wanted to get information from them and hear what things were like back in the olden days. And when I started my career, I just found a wealth of people who'd been doing it for a really long time, and I just wanted to know how they did it. And it wasn't that I didn't want to hang around with people my own age. It was just that I wanted to learn the business so bad, and I wanted to hear it from, the older generation. And to me, the most valuable people were the older people who wanted to be with the younger people, talk to the younger people, interact with the younger people, not kind of turn up their nose and say, hey, kid, can you make me a copy of this? Or can you pick up my dry cleaning? Or can you, do this or do that? They were the people who actually spoke to you on your level and treated you like a, a coworker, even though you had 5 days of experience and they had 45 years of experience. Those were the people that I really appreciated, and I still appreciate to this day. And I have to stop myself and remind myself of that, so that I do that with the younger people in the business. I have to remember that I need to be that to them, because that's how I was treated by a lot of people. And those are the people that I remember best. And sadly, a lot of those people are passing away, and I'm reading about it now. And it really, I get sentimental about it. I really do.
It really is a people business, and you've expressed that terrifically.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Well, listen, man, this was a great time spending with you. I know Connie and I enjoyed it. We probably need another hour to lift through cars and music and all the other interesting, cool things. And by the way, I did want to say in the final round, it was like Crown Royal, because we all know Crown Royal is or anything else, and I still think Crown Royal would have been selected. But regardless of all that, really appreciate your time, JC, and your insights and your friendship over these past 25 years, perhaps more now. And it's been great to spend some time with you and get your insights. So thank you, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Connie. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.